Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Dream of Crafts. My name is Deanna. Today we're going to start working on our pages for our Halloween mini album that I used in a swap with Rosa Kelly. And if you remember seeing the first video, my dimensions are different than what I used with hers. With hers, I had to follow guidelines for my album. With mine, I don't have to. So we are going to be working on a couple of the pages, and I'm going to try to keep an eye on the time so I stick kind of close to an hour. So we'll see how far we can get with this time. So we're going to start with one of our pages. And if you remember, our pages are 7 inches wide by 8.5 inches high. So let me go ahead and I pre-cut most of what I could here. So our first page, we're going to have a flip up and a flip down. Now these pieces were cut at 7 inches wide by 4 3/4 high. I then scored on the 4 3/4 side at a 1/2 inch on each one of these. So you need 2 of those. 2 7 inches wide by 4 3/4 high, scored at a 1/2 inch on your 4 3/4 inch edge. In addition to that, you're going to need a piece, and this was from a scrap. These were also from my scraps. I try to use up the scraps when I can, so I did not cut up another sheet because of what we had left with our pages when we made them from a 12 by 12. We had some nice size scraps left, so these were created with the scraps. And if you are using 8.5 by 11 sheets for this project, then you probably won't have the size scraps that I did, but the measurements are going to be the same no matter what, whether you use a scrap or not. So this also was a scrap. This piece was one that was just happened to be 2 1/16 inch wide, somewhere around there. It doesn't have to be exactly that size, 2 inches or so. You don't want it too narrow because it does form a function. So I would say if you have a 2-inch size scrap or maybe a little bit bigger, you'd be fine with that. And then this is cut at 5 3/16 inch high, and then it is scored a 1/2 inch on each end. So on your 5 3/16 inch edge, you're going to score it a 1/2 inch on each side. And then this is just an additional scrap here, and I have not cut this one down yet. What we're going to do before we attach this, we're going to wrap this around and then just kind of pinch it. So it was like this. So I held it here. Then I'm just going to pinch it down, give it its score. And then for this one, I'm going to slide this over just a little bit. So I have like a 1/16 of an inch there. And I'm going to fold this side over and pinch it to score it. Then we can go ahead and snip off our extra. We don't want to cut it too short. We want to overlap. So there's fine. So I'm just going to take some of my art glitter glue and I'm going to attach this here. There's some glue. And I don't want to glue this down. I just want it to attach to this little band we just created. Make it even. Make sure that the glue's not attaching it. So we're going to let that dry there a second. And we want this a little bit because we want that to slide up and down. That's the purpose of this. This is creating a slide. So now if you want, you can use score tape here. I'm just going to use my art glitter glue. And I'm going to fasten this flip on the upper side here of my page. And I can see this one did not get edged with black soot. I've been edging everything with black soot. And I started after I did a couple, so some of these might be missed, but we'll do that. So I'm going to line this right up at the top, making sure it's even on the sides. There we go. Perfect. Open this up, make sure I don't have any glue adhered down here. There we go. passing good. This one's going to come up and it's going to be just, it's going to give me about a 1/16 of an inch in between these two. I don't want them rubbing up against each other. I wanted a little bit of space there. This one does look like it's got some on it, but let me touch this one while I got it before I put the glue on. There we go. Okay. And we'll do this one too while we got right here. Let's go ahead and do the edges of that a minute. Doesn't have to be a lot, but the cut marks on this paper I'm using are kind of white, so I don't really like that showing. And like I said in my other video, that I got a large amount of this purple, so that's why I'm using purple. If I didn't, cost-wise, I would probably just use for this project, but since I have so much of this, I thought it would look pretty. I think I started with a pack of 25, so I'll let you know how many I ended up using. Again, we're going to place this one on the bottom edge, making sure it lines up nice and even with our paper. Open it up, make sure we don't have any glue problems going on there. There we go. All right, so we got a flip up, a flip down. Now, this piece here, we are going to attach this and this to this top one. So we're going to glue this right on top of this, just like that, up in our upper right-hand corner, okay? And we will decorate these pages later. I'm not going to do any decorating today. If we get to the one, I will have to do a little bit, but not much. I just have to add my house later on, but that's because it has to go on before the other thing. Well, I guess it doesn't have to. We'll see how far we get. So I've got my glue on both ends. I'm going to start at my top. I'm going to come to that upper right-hand corner, making sure I'm even. I'm going to bring this one in, put it down at the bottom there, right along that edge. Okay. Give that a good adhere down. The glue, any glue off of there. And then I want to make sure to get in there and make sure that it's not glued down, just gently, because this is still the glue. Although it dries fast, I don't want to be pulling on it until it's good and dry. So I'm good and clear there. All right. So later on, we'll add an element to this that brings a slide on here. And then this will slide down, and then we'll have a magnet here attached to this, and that will hold these two down. That is our first page. On our second page, this one's a little bit more involved. We are going to do a waterfall flip. Okay. Now for this one, before you can attach this, your decorative piece has to be on. So I have pre-cut this, and let me go to my next page here. I've got everything written down just so I have something to look at. So we are, where's my top? Well, if it's 7, I'll just use my ruler and measure, it'll be a lot faster. So this is 6 7/8, so it's 1/8 inch smaller. 6 7/8 should be 8 3/8. Yep, 8 3/8. 6 7/8 by 8 3/8 is for the decorative. I've already taken the time to smudge that up with the black soot. And we're just going to lay this down. Again, whatever preference you have to adhere your projects together, then you use that. I am a glue person. I use tape too sometimes, but I prefer to use the glue. I know in the long run it's going to stay together throughout time, so that's what's important to me. There we go. Perfect. And again, you can see we've got a 1/16 of an edge all the way around. There we go. All right. Okay. And the only reason we're doing this now is because we otherwise you'd have to piece a bunch of pieces together when you were done with this. So let's set this aside a second. So for our first piece, you are going to cut one that is, and this is from a scrap, it is 5 inches wide by 12 inches high. You are going to score this. You're going to put it on the 12-inch side in your scoreboard. Here. So put it in my scoreboard. You would then score at 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, and 9. So again, it's 5 inches by 12 inches. Score at 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, and 9. You're going to then burnish your score marks both directions just to get a good bend on them. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your score tape, and on your first, with your long piece at the bottom, you're going to come up with your first piece of score tape just below that first score line. So not touching it, but coming up to it. So your first score tape is going to be on this smaller panel. Then you're going to put 4 more in between each of your other score lines. You'll have 5 in total. Again, with your long part up, you're going to start at the bottom and bring your first piece of score tape up to that score line. Do not cover the score lines. What I did then was I come in and I found my center, which on the 5 inch would be 2.5, and I just kind of made a mark on my score tape so I can center my next pieces that we're going to need. You are going to need one piece that is 8.5 inches long by 2.5 inches. No, that's not right. Where am I here? Sorry about that. 1 inch wide by 7.25 inches high. And you're going to score at a 1/2 inch and 6 3/4 inch. So 1/2 inch each end. Okay. You're going to bend those down, score them. So that's your back piece. See? And then put tape on both of those 1 inch pieces. You're going to need an additional 5 pieces, and these were done out of the scraps, and they are 6 1/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches high. So these are your flips here. So you're going to take one of your flips, one of your 4.5 by 6 or 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 pieces, and you're going to take, mine's textured, so I want that to be the front, so flip it to the back. You're going to take your score tape off your 1/2 inch piece there, and you're going to adhere that right down to the bottom on the back side. Okay, so right to the left hand corner and down to the bottom. You're going to do the same thing with this one. And I might even add a little bit of glue to this one because I should have on the other one too. But if it does come loose, I can always attach it later. So, all right. So this one's going to come right to that bottom right hand corner. So you got your 2 pieces fastened there. Okay. I put my tape on ahead of time so I didn't forget. So now you can attach score tape to this piece right here, or if you want to just use your glue. I'm going to use both, but so that will get score tape on it, okay, or glue. This piece is your first piece you're going to use. This is going to be at the bottom here. I went ahead and I've marked these, and so for 6 1/4, they are marked at 3 1/8. So I made a little mark right at the top of each one of these. Now I can line that center mark with my other center marks. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here, just like that. Get my marks on. Make sure it's even. Hold that tight and press it down. Okay. There we go. And then it doesn't matter which one. Okay. So I'm going to line this one up with my other ones here so that they're all the same. Not go over that score line. It's got to be able to bend. Double check. Okay. Hold it down firm. There we go. And if you have a different way of doing this, that is fine. This is just the way I learned for this style anyway. And I will put an attachment below from the person that I learned it from. I can't remember her name offhand, but I will put an attachment, not attachment to her site, but I will put her name in the thing. I'd have to look it up. It's been a while. Okay. Continuing on. We just want them nice and centered. Okay. And this is her method was the easiest way I found to do these. Some other methods work, but they would just seem so much more complicated than hers. Okay, for this one, I'm going to bend this right over because I want that to go right up to that top edge. Not over, but to the top. And using all the same color, it's not as imperative because you're not going to see a different color showing through, but okay. There we go. Actually, perfect. I could see some of my cuts were off just a little bit too, but I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. All right. So now this part, your long part's going to come back here, and it's going to slide right behind that band that we put on. See that? And then this is what creates the flip. Let me see if I can get it to flip. Holding on here. See? Just like that. So we can go ahead and attach that now. And remember, you're only going to attach it by this piece here. If you glue down the rest, your flip won't work. So I'm going to get some glue here. There we go. Perfect. We seem to be doing pretty good. And I think I want it lower, I think, because then I can put something at the top, maybe a little decoration at the top there. So I'm going to line that bottom flip up with the bottom edge of my decorative paper. Center it. Just eyeball it. There we go. So I'm going to get in here and carefully put that down like that. Okay. I'm not going to pull on it right now, but we will go back and let it do its thing here in a minute. Okay. So that is our first one. Flip up, flip down with a slide mechanism, and then our flip waterfall. Now our next one that we're going to do, and they don't have to be done in order, so let's go ahead. I'm going to get these separated here. Here we go. All right. This one's got a lot of things going on. Whoops, paper clip's caught. All right. So, all right. We're going to start with our base again. Again, 7 inches wide by 8.5 high. And we have 4 pieces that are, we have, here we go. I gotta go to my next page here on my thing. We have 4 pieces cut at 8 3/4 high, or 8 3/8 high by 7 3/8 wide. On your 7 3/8 wide side, you're going to score each one of those at a 1/2 inch. Okay. So 4 8 3/8 by 7 3/8 wide on your 7 3/8 wide side, 1/2 inch on all 4 of those. So we're going to start by attaching these to each other. So I have my first hinge on my left side. My next hinge is going to be on my right side. We're going to attach this one to the top of that. Okay. Some glue. And we're going to be alternating those on top of each other for all 4. Okay. So I'm going to turn this so I can see this pretty good down here on my left-hand side. And you can start wherever it's easiest for you. I'm right-handed, so for some reason I have a tendency to go to the left side first. And I just kind of stood that up to make sure that they were lined up together. I'm also watching my sides here. Okay, I'm going to open that up. Get rid of any glue that might cause me problems later. Okay, so that's the first part of our flip. So our next one, our hinge is going to be back on our left side. And tape might be a little faster, but that's all right. Okay, so this is my opening. So my hinge is going to go at the top of that, right there. Watching my bottom here. Looks good. Perfect. Now when you're doing stacks of things like this, if you're creating your own album, you got to remember anything you put on top is probably going to need a gusset. All right, open this up to cover it all. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, all right. Our last piece is going to get fastened on the right side here. And you can do flips other ways, but this way works the best to keep it so you don't have to make them smaller. You can have all the same size because they're not closing in on inside of each other. Here's my opening, so I know that's where my hinge has to go. Again, I'm going to come in this corner, starting to line things up, not pressing. All right. Oh, too far down. Too far down. Come on. Get up there. It's thicker, so it wants to. There we go. There we go. Lined up really nice there. Okay. Press. All right. So this will open like that. Or you can open it individually. And it also opens individually this way. Or you can open it all the way up. Okay. go ahead and attach this to our page. And I want to say, do I want it to, yes, I think I want it to open this way. Yes, okay. And where we have another piece here that I haven't cut down. And this piece is going to go over top of everything. So, all right, so we got this together. Pocket. This piece here is cut at 9 3/8 high by 7 inches wide. This is our very top flip. On your 9 3/8 side, you're going to score it a 1/2 inch and then 7/8 of an inch. Okay? And that's going to give you a nice gusset there to go over top of everything. I am going to attach this to the back side here. Okay? So we can go ahead and do that. Just the 1/2 inch part. I might just add just a little tape to help hold that in place while the glue dries. So just a little bit. I have to be, there we go. Just to help hold it while my glue dries. Press that in. A little glue hanging over. There we go. All right. So I'm going to bring this over here. And I want this lined right up here at the 1/2 inch mark. Whoops. I don't want it to go over my score line. I want it to be lined up with my score lines. Just like that. Okay. Let's give that a good press. Okay. And this will get covered up with the other page too. So now we got our flip up here. See? So now these are going to get attached to this side. I want to open it to the right first. So I'm going to attach this to my left side. Let's go ahead and add some score tape. These are thicker items. So I want to make sure that these get adhered on there really good. Really, really good because they are pretty big. These ones are. Okay. And again, this will all get decorated and covered. So that helps hold things on too. Okay, so right in our, get our whole stack lined up here. Now, this is just a little bit shorter. There we go. We'll kind of line up with my bottom edge there. Leave a little bit of extra room by that top edge. It's just a fraction shorter. It's not much. Just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to open this up so I can see this, get all those extras out of my way. Okay. The nice thing about the glue on the tape is I can move it for a little bit, and I don't want it hanging off my end. There we go. All right. If I get all these other ones out of my way, then I can see that line really good. All right. So I'm going to open this up here. I don't want any glue drying where it will make me nervous there. All right. This piece here is from a scrap piece. This was my pocket. So I just, I think this one I cut. Yeah, it's 5 inches wide, so it was from a scrap, and then I just cut it to fit my other scraps. And this is 4 5/8 wide, and then scored on your 4 5/8 side at a 1/2 inch each edge. Okay, this piece here was also a scrap, and this one is 7 3/8 long by 3 5/8 high, and then it's scored at 1/2 an inch and an inch. Give me a 1/2 inch gusset there, because this is going to go over top of all of these. Okay, so this is going to close down on this. This is going to be attached inside of this pocket here. That's going to, our piece that gets attached to our hinge, we're going to attach this right inside of there. And it's a little big, but once you get your decorative papers on and your embellishments, it's going to fill that out. Okay, I know it looks a little big. You got an extra 1/4 of an inch there, but by the time we get all of our embellishments on, our extra paper and stuff, it's going to fill that out. So let me go ahead and put tape on the underside of this. Oops, lost my edge there. There we go. There we go. And then this being attached inside there, that's going to get glued down inside that hinge part too. I'm going to try to center this a little bit here. Let me get my hand right inside of there so I know where I'm at. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'd like it kind of close to the center. So I'm right inside of there, and I'm bringing that up to my score line. Not past it, but up to it. Looks pretty good. All right. I'm going to flip it over so I'm closer to this edge here. And that way all my pressure's going really close to that, instead of trying to make it all the way through all those other layers. Okay. All right. See? It's right inside that pocket part that's going to be attached to the hinge. So you can see we got some thickness already going on there. But this will give us plenty of room for our attachments and stuff. We won't have to worry about. Now I know this needs a magnet. So I'll go ahead and get my magnets now. And I'm going to use some bigger ones because this is a pretty big piece. It says magnet on top, but my magnet's actually going to be underneath. So I'm going to put down a little bit of glue. And I'm staying back a good, probably 3/4 of an inch from my edge there. Yep, 5/8, but right in that area. So I know that my paper, when I put it on here, is going to not have a problem covering that up. Take a piece of tape, hold that down. Gonna get another piece of tape here. I'm gonna, like, sticky sides facing up, put my magnet on there. I'm gonna add a little bit more glue. And then with this one, because I know it's got a little bit extra here, I want to put something under there to keep it up a little bit. Let's see, what do I have? That's about 1/4 of an inch. How about a ruler? Because I don't want that to I don't want it to be falling down the wrong place. And if I don't have a space in between there right now, what'll happen is my magnet will shift, and then when I put on my other elements, then it won't be lined up properly. So that's why I'm doing that. Okay, there we go. That should help. And I'm going to slide it. There we go. Found that if I just pick it up, sometimes it pulls my magnet up with it. If I slide it, it seems to keep it in the spot where I want it. Okay. There we go. So this will open this way. This will flip up. You have your pages, you can turn one at a time, or pull it fully open. And then you can flip this way, or pull it all the way open this way. Okay. Now I have my pocket here. Forgot it's on the top of this one. So my pocket is going to go right like this, so my tag can pull out here. And we'll put our decorative cardstock over top of that when we're done. So I'm just going to make sure that my stuff isn't going to stick out. And you don't have to have this high of a pocket, but I just thought it'd be cute to have a pocket on there, hold a little tag. And this is a pocket, so we're going to put a dab of glue right along that bottom edge and on our little hinges that we created here. All right. So you see, I'm going to come right down. I'm going to stay away from my hinge there, just like that. My edges. I don't want to interfere with my gusset there that I've created. Okay, if I put that down there, then that's gonna interfere, and I don't want it to interfere. Okay, there we go. Take my ruler, gently go in there, make sure it's open, not glued down, glued shut, and then this closes, and then that'll hold it together. So that's the side of that one. For our next one, then I have to try to remember which ones I did. This has got to be cut down yet. I think this is my gatefold. So I cover my glue here. All right. Okay. So for my gatefold. All right. So we have a piece that will flip down. It is 7 inches wide by 9 3/4 high. On your 9 3/4 side, you're going to score at 1 inch and 1 1/4 inches. I want a good size piece here adhered down to support what's going to be underneath it. Okay, so this will actually have a 1/4 inch gusset, but our 1 inch piece is going to be the part that's glued down. Want to make sure it has good amount of glue on it. So we can go ahead and attach that 1 inch part. And again, that's going to flip down. It's the part of the book with the haunted house behind the gates. So because I want to make extra sure that I've got adhesion to hold on to it till my glue dries, we're going to put some tape on there. And always double check to make sure you got your piece facing the right way so you don't. So I know that's my top. So even if you have to make an arrow for yourself to remind you, whatever it takes. Otherwise you might glue it upside down. Protects your cardstock. It's got like a zipper sounding effect, doesn't it? Here we go. All right. Okay. Get this where I think it has to be, and then we'll flip it over here a second. Let me open these and get these so I can see. Looks pretty good. Again, I don't want to interfere with that score line. I want my thing to come up to it, but not over it. Okay, pretty good. There we go. Get that all up my way. Looks pretty good. I think this can be down just a smudge. There we go. You think, well, it's off just a tiny bit, but if you put everything off just a tiny bit, by the end of your album, everything can be off quite a bit. So I try to avoid that. I mean, sometimes it's just inevitable. It cuts off a little bit or something, but all right, let's close this back up. There we go. So there's our flip down. Okay. Perfect. All right. These are my gatefolds. So these ones were cut. Let's see, where's my gatefold? Right here. So we're going to cut two that are 8 3/8 inch high by 4 inches wide. And on the 4-inch side, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch. That gives us two pieces that are 3.5 inches wide. And they should just about meet, but have just a little room in between. So if you end up where they're touching too tight, you can cut a little sliver off of each one. Mine should be good. But I cut them just a little shorter than the 8.5 because I didn't want them button up against there. I wanted them to be able to open freely. So that's why it's 8 3/8 instead of 8.5 high. Okay. So we can go ahead and attach these. Get just a little tape on here. I don't need to go the full length, just a little bit. Okay. And I could have pre-taped these, but and if you come to parts where you don't want to watch it, just go ahead and fast forward through or skip through. You can always come back. I quite typically, well, not quite typically, I do always watch the video all the way through before I do a project because I've been caught doing things that they do and then they go, oops. And we all do that. We all make mistakes. But then I can make a mental note that I've got to be careful in a certain area. All right, so I'm going to fasten my hinge. Got it on my left side. It's going to go on the left side of my flip down here. I'm going to line it right up at the bottom. And then bring it on in here. Make sure it's lined up nice. Perfect. Looks pretty good. Okay. No glue problems there. Good. And then this one is going to be on my right side, and it's going to go on the right side. Like I said, we'll do all the decorating together too, because I have quite a few pieces I have to cut with my Cricut. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, I understand that, but some of the things I will show you how to create them without a Cricut, if it's possible. Other ones, you might be able to find a sticker or something like that too. I'm going to start cutting some things out and putting them on my eBay account too, just so people have access if they don't want to buy a cutting machine. So not everybody wants that, but they might want the piece that you're doing. So All right, I'm lining it up. Making sure my bottom's not hanging over there. And I've got just a tiny amount in between them. I'll hold it up in just a second so you can see. You can see there's just a small amount in between so that they're not touching. It's just like a perfect amount. Yeah, and then those will open. We'll put little knobs on here so it'll open up nice. Okay. So this is going to flip up. And when we flip this down, then our gatefold will open. Okay. For the top, I had two pieces that were 7 inches wide by let's see, 4 5/8. 4 5/8 by 7. And on your 4 5/8 side, you're going to score them at 1/2 inch. You need 2 of those. Okay. And we are going to take those, and one's going to get attached at the top here, just like that. And when you open this one will be attached to the inside facing down. So let's go ahead and attach this one to here. Okay. Because this will flip up and that will flip up. All right. Now, if you run into a problem where it's buckling on there, trim this one down just a tiny bit. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Because by this being inside here, it might interfere. But I kind of tested it without it adhered together and it seemed fine. But yep, I can see it's going to be a little bit of a problem, I think. Yep. See how when I push this close, how it wants to buckle up a little bit? We don't want that. So let me get my trimmer, and I'm going to just take a sliver off of there. Okay. Sometimes just doing a test fit, it looks fine, but then when you go to actually glue it together, then you start having problems. So, and I would, because once this is closed, then that's going to want to buckle up, and I don't want that. So we're going to take just a little sliver off of here, a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, it's not going to affect us that much. Let me see if that works better. And that's closed. I might take just a hair more off, just another sliver. Okay. It's still flat, so it makes it easy. I can see I got to hang over here too, so I'm going to put this in my trimmer and trim that off so that they're even. It was just a tiny bit. Okay, that looks good. Just fold, and you can see here, looks like I got about 1/8 of an inch altogether there. Off of that edge. It looks a little crooked. Maybe that's why I need to trim that down. Let me even these up here. And there we go. Yeah, I've got about 1/8 of an inch. So this one here was about 1/8 of an inch smaller. Okay. No, it's not lost. All is not lost. And sometimes how things work. That's why you watch the video all the way through. All right. Let's bring this down. We're going to attach this right to our top here. I'm going to open this because I want that flat. Okay, so I'm going to open these all up so I'm not pressing on my gusset there, okay? This is going to get glued right to there. So I'm going to open this up too, and I'm going to glue this right on top of that hinge there, okay? So it'll look just like that. You can see my line there. That's my 1/2 inch line. That's the top of my page here. All right. Okay. Put that it down. Again, this is open, so it's kind of back out of my way. Bring it right up there. Checking my left-hand side here. Checking my right-hand side. Looking good. I know it looks kind of funky with everything open, but I want that all out of my way so I can get a good adhesion here. Okay. No glue problems. Hold this, hold this. This can be closed back down. There we go. This is going to go up. And then here's where this one came in. So this is a bigger band, and this is going to go across here too. Just like that. But I didn't know how thick I would need it, so that's why I didn't cut it yet. Let's see here. Okay. So I think 7 inches wide, and then give me 1/2 inch hinge and 1/4 inch. So 7 3/4. Let's try that. Let's cut this at 7 3/4. This was a scrap, and this scrap was 5 inches wide. So let's cut it at 7 3/4. Stuff on my desk here. Let's move off to the side. 7 3/4. And I try to make sure there's nothing underneath the feet of my trimmer, because I found that if there's stuff underneath, my trimmer doesn't cut as good because it's not on a level surface. All right. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. 1/2 and 3/4 gives us a 1/4 inch gusset for our closure. Okay, I'm not sure I actually. Maybe I should put this one down at the bottom. I think. I'm just thinking here a second. I think one of these should be down at the bottom. Oh, I can cut that shorter. I can cut it shorter. Yeah, let's go ahead and, you know, I guess it doesn't matter if it's in the middle. I can't remember where my other one was. I think that one was in the middle. I think this one was down farther. I think this one was down here, and this one was in the middle. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. It's magnetic, so it ain't going to matter. Okay. I do have to trim it down, though. So let me go ahead and put this inside of my book here. I've got my gusset where I want it, and I'm still, let me see. Yeah. Where did I cut it? That's why I did 8 1/4. It's got to be cut down to 7 3/4. That's why I'm 1/2 inch long. Like I know I figured it out. Oh, silly, silly, silly. So let's recut this to 7 3/4 instead of 8 1/4. There we go. Much better. Much better, much better. And I think after we get this one done, then I think we will stop here. Let me just finish this a second. That will be 2 full pages. That will be done. So I'm going to find my pocket here, my center where it's going to be attached to the hinge for our album. And I'm going to attach this one inside of there too. Okay. Let me hold that open. And then we've done this side. Let's go ahead and add a little tape. And again with this will be attached to that hinge too, so it'll have extra secureness there too. So okay. There we go. All right. Make sure it's that I drop it. That's funny. I'll make sure it's the right spot. Okay. My hand is in there. Yeah, let's go ahead and slide this in there. And I can see the edge there. So at my 1/2 inch score line, I want to bring this in. Don't go over the score line. Go to it. There we go. See that? So you can see our gusset there. Okay. And let's go ahead and add a magnet. All right. I'm not going to press hard on this. This would come just about to, it should come to our 7-inch edge there. So I'm lining that up on my edge. And holding my magnet, and we're going to slide it. There we go. Perfect. Now I can give it a little better press there. Okay. There. So we've got 2 completed pages. So let's go ahead and walk through those again. All right, so for our first page, we have the slide mechanism we created. This is a flip up, flip down, okay? And then we'll be adding pockets and stuff inside of here later. So then the other side of that is our waterfall flip. Works nicely, doesn't it? Perfect. For our next page, we have a flip out pocket. Put a tag in there. This flips up. These can be opened individually or all at once. And then it flips this way. And again, can be opened all at once. So you got lots of real estate in here. And then on our second page, this flips open. This flips down. We have our gatefold. We have a flip up and a flip up again. Okay? So we are going to stop there for today. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you would at this time, I would appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, the little bell will pop up. If you hit that bell, you'll be able to be notified each time I put up a new video. So you won't have to go searching. It will alert you once you get into your Yahoo or to your YouTube account. A thumbs up is always appreciated. And till the next time, hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.